Hello.
What a day.
Hi there. What a day. And we're so sorry for taking so long to get on. It's been, well, this is Lisane, first of all. And this is my daughter, Jessica Kelly.
Hello.
And we're actually here. Hey, Michael Delaney, how are you? We're actually here in the For the Love of All office here in the Northeast. And it has taken, it's just been a really busy week. I don't want to say crazy because it hasn't been crazy, but it has certainly been busy. I flew in on a red eye on Sunday night after going to the Sweet Spot in San Diego. Flew in on a red eye, got here on Monday morning, and I have literally been back to back to back all week long. And then last night we went into Canarsie and hung out a little bit and looked at some artwork that coincidentally Ainsley Burroughs of the Sweet Spot Nation, the founder of the Sweet Spot Nation, had us take a look at. And now we're here doing this Facebook Live. And the purpose of this live was really to have a chance to debrief the podcast interview that you and I did a couple of weeks ago. And we wanted to talk about some of the topics that came up, things around motherhood and parenting and divorce, and really just to chat and have a chance to say hello and answer any questions, or really have this conversation about those topics. So it's Friday. Yeah. Finally, why don't we just start with that?
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Happy weekend. We're almost here.
Almost. I'm actually flying out of here today. Later on this afternoon, I'm going back to San Diego. And so we have been hitting the ground running all day, doing all kinds of things. And then we got the tripod, and it kept swinging the phone around. So we were trying to talk and the phone would swing. And so here we are. I'm kind of using this time to
breathe, right?
To breathe a little bit. Yeah, it's been a really...
That's why I'm just over here sipping my tea. I'm breathing.
I wish that I could turn this thing sideways.
I wish we could tilt it down more.
I know. I guess we're just going to have to go with it. I don't know what's over there or what... I don't know what's going on with it, but anyway, so hey, Karen Vasquez.
Hey, Karen.
That's Jessica, who is tilting the video, the phone thing. I don't know if that's better or worse, but it's all good, right?
You don't see the whole ceiling, you see us.
Yeah. So this week it has been a complete demonstration of what life looks like when you're juggling work and business and family and motherhood and all the responsibilities and things that come with that. It has been a week of, keeping, hey Karen, a week of juggling, really, for me, like super juggling, like, dealing with things, working and handling some personal things that I needed to deal with while I was here. And then we went out and visited family yesterday, and
I had a lovely time.
Lovely, me too. We saw this beautiful artwork and in Ainsley Burroughs's gallery, and he just spread all his artwork out. I think I'll share it on here with you guys because it was just so beautiful. But it also had us go to bed at like 2:30 this morning. So there are good things about it and bad things. So all week long, this is a doll that a company did of my brother Jean-Michel. Yes, Karen, New York for real. And my brother, they designed this, and this is supposed to be my brother Jean-Michel. And so I've been
put it up more. It's so cool.
So you can see him. It's the coolest little thing, and you see his suit and his hair and his shades. It's like the coolest little thing. And so I've been carrying this around with me all week, and at meetings, when we're having meetings about Jean-Michel, I will I've been kind of pulling it out and sitting him down and telling people that we should, what would Jean-Michel want us to do? And so I've been using this little doll as it's so cute, isn't it, Karen?
And when you don't have him, Emma takes him and she tucks him into bed to
Yes.
make sure that he gets sleep. So it's been an interesting, an interesting doll.
Jess has a photo of him laying down with the blanket on him, getting a little rest. So this is my little personal mascot for the week. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to listen to the podcast, but what was really the reason we wanted to come on to chat is because we wanted to talk and unpack some of the topics that we discussed on the podcast episode. Jessica, we only see half your face, so move over a little bit. And so we talked about a lot of things, and I think that for me, the most significant was the conversation that we had around divorce, which for me was a conversation about family and how family changes and shifts over time, and how the family, what the family does in order to navigate those changes and also pay attention to healing within the legacy. I know that was a pretty intense conversation for a few minutes, and I wonder what afterthoughts you had about that.
That was actually my first time publicly speaking on divorce and how it affected me. Usually you hear about the point of view of a really young child in divorce or the parents in divorce. So for me, it was important to be transparent and share what it was then and how I deal with it today, and in between. So it was a relief to get it off of my chest, but pretty nerve-wracking at the same time. Mm-hmm. But welcome.
For me, what was really wonderful about that conversation was, sometimes you're in things, or for me, I'm in the number of things that I do. And the number of people that I speak with on a day-to-day basis is incredible. I'm going all day, every day when I'm working. And hi, Christina. And Christine, excuse me. How are you? I'm going a lot. And what that conversation helped me with was it helped me to see just how much progress we've made.
Yeah.
Since the divorce, as a family and as a group of people who experienced that together. It's many years later, and it was actually a really positive thing for me, and helped me to see how much things have changed, and how much work that we've all done, and how as a family we've grown. Karen, divorce is a process that hits a person in all areas of their life. It really does. It even, your social life. I know that for me, I'm assuming your social life didn't change much.
It did.
Did it? In what way?
So when I was younger, I was the only friend whose parents were together. So we kind of had that household togetherness. So once that shifted, so did kind of the home. It kind of, I don't know, it wasn't, I don't want to say a good or bad change, but it did feel a little different. My friends felt it too, because they were close to both of my parents. So it was different. And also, I think I've really tried hard to not base decisions off of that. A lot of people are like, my parents did this, so I'm definitely not divorcing no matter what. For me, I'm just like, I try not to do that in any aspect. So it's interesting. It does have an effect, and it does affect every area of life. Yeah,
absolutely. I think for me, my social life changed because, it's like you're friends with people as a couple, and then you're not. And we had been married for 17 years, and it was really interesting to see the way other people also responded to us as a family, and to the individuals in the family. Even things like, even within our family, it's really, it can be challenging, and it was challenging to be a couple and do the barbecues and do the social time and do the holidays and that kind of thing, and then find yourself, I'm just sliding this up. Why doesn't the Facebook thing slide on its own? Hi, Michelle. It's great to see you here. it can be challenging because as a family, as a huge unit, we all hung out and we did the barbecues and we did the holiday parties and the dinners and all of that. And then everything changed. Everything was different. And there was this whole process of shifting and acclimating to what that was, and especially when you have in-laws, where you're all used to talking to each other, and then all of a sudden it gets kind of funky, and then especially when people are seeing other people and there are other relationships that are happening. So it takes a lot for the members, everyone in the family to really have the honor and respect for each other and the open communication enough to be able to speak about the challenging things and the difficult things, and also to make your needs known. Karen, it can also be a huge vehicle for self-growth. And that's what hit you most. I know for me it was, because there is nothing like a huge life event to really give you a moment of pause, to really sit down and think about what's happening in your life and how you're transitioning through the changes that are going on in your life. That's certainly what it did for me. It gave me this moment in time to look at everything about my life. And it was about the breakup of the relationship with my ex-husband, Jessica's dad, but it was also, hey Vietnam, and it was also about me looking at me, because here I was in this moment where my life as I knew it had changed completely. So it was the change in the relationship with my ex-husband, my now ex-husband, and also the change in me that was going on as a result of that change, me thinking, about who I was and what I really wanted, and me really wanting to be clear about who I was, what I wanted, where I was in my life, and what I was going to do, while still raising a teen. At the time, Jessica was a freshman
in high school.
And it was, for me, it was pretty overwhelming because my mother passed away, all within a period of a year. My corporate life completely changed. I left corporate. I entered into a new relationship. I don't know if that was the best thing to do at the time, but that's what I did. And then
Joseph moved out right before that.
My son, Jessica's older brother, moved out 6 months before, I think, or a little less than 6 months before my ex-husband and I broke up. My mother passed away, and then my dad and my stepmom both had medical situations happen out of nowhere, and this was all happening while I was very recently out of corporate and trying to figure out how to be an entrepreneur and what that looked like. And it was an intense time. It was, I had a home, I had responsibilities, I had mortgage and all the things that, that came with my life at the time. And, and it was really challenging to figure out what to do and also to prioritize. I feel like we're both getting closer to the screen
because I can't
we don't
see.
Have
I'm trying to read. I can't see at all. So I'm like giggling because I can see Karen's now, but I have to zoom in first. That's why I'm like this, and then I'll giggle.
And then every time you move forward, I move forward a little bit.
We're like twins on this one in many ways,
Yeah, I know, Karen. I know that, Karen. I know we have a lot of parallels in addition to being Puerto Rican sisters, that we have other parallels as well. What was challenging, again, was just like the enormity of it and the fact that it wasn't just one thing. And isn't that kind of what happens in life? It's not,
every time.
Yeah, you don't get to say, hey, I'm sorry, this is happening right now. So all other issues, can you just back off and not present yourselves right now? It just doesn't work that way. And it was really challenging to have to navigate.
Hey, Sheena.
To have to navigate all of those things at the same time, going through, Karen is calling out the Puerto Rico baby, Boricua baby.
I thought it was public relations that went over my head.
Oh, jeez. What does that say? Can you see it?
Those are the times that build your character and you discover strength that you never knew that you had. Mm-hmm. I agree, Michelle.
Mm-hmm.
See, my time for self-reflection was more so in college. So I kind of just like shuffled through the rest of high school. Honestly, I wasn't really there mentally, and I didn't realize it until years later. So I kind of just kept my head down. I honestly did the bare minimum, and I didn't realize how much the divorce and the family changes affected me until I completely left the space of the home and moved to college. And when I was trying to acclimate to college, and I realized how much harder it was for me to, feel comfortable there, and that's not me, that's kind of when I realized that something was wrong and I needed to fix some things. Mm-hmm. So mine took a little longer, my self-reflection.
Yeah, for me it was self-reflection about relationship, because when you go into a relationship or as a relationship is ending, it's really important to think about the things that brought you in, like who are you and what is it that you want and what are you looking for. And very often we don't give appropriate thought to that. We just get out of the relationship and then just want to find a way to fill that pain that you're feeling, or that emptiness, or that change, because change can be very challenging. And we're just you just look for ways to make things feel as stable and solid as possible. And the harder work, but I think the deeper work, and what's really helpful over the long haul, is taking the time to really sit in it, even if it feels shitty, to just sit in it and really think about, what is happening, what is this bringing up in me, and what is the conversation that's now happening inside of me about where my life is and what I really want and what my needs are. And so, so often we wind up trying to put that on another person, making that other person responsible for making us happy, or making that other person responsible for making us feel good, or giving us the love and care that, quite frankly, we really do need to learn how to give ourselves. Because once you learn how to give it to yourself, then whatever that other person does is cream. And if you're a pleasure whore like me, that is wonderful. That just makes it, I want to be loving myself. I want to take care of myself, so that when I am receiving that from other people, the other people in my life who love me, I can really receive that from a pure place, versus making them responsible for making me feel, a certain way. Yeah.
Self-love is the best love.
It absolutely is. It absolutely is.
Vietnam, thank you for your thank you for that. It's difficult being the kid involved, and I'm still, like I said earlier, I'm still in the awkward in between. I was a kid, I'm not anymore, but I still speak to that. I've told you before, ask me anything.
And you have a daughter now.
Yeah.
And so it's you have a daughter now, and it's, you start to think about things a little bit differently, and we don't want to do anything that hurts our children. And like I said,
but you also don't want to parent in a way where you're just in fear. I don't want to make her feel this way, because I felt that way. So I try really hard to avoid that also. She's going to have her own fears and things. I don't need to add more to it. Yeah.
Michelle, you said that, wow. Are you saying that you had a cardiac arrest?
She did while her daughter was in school. So her daughter had the same, I guess, feelings that I had, the same resistance, a hard time in school. You're distracted. When things are going on at home and you're away at school, it's really hard. It's really difficult. And you're doing what your parents want you to do, but at the same time, like, I'm a nurturing daughter, so I felt like I wanted to be there for both of them, and it just was really hard for me.
Yeah, and we're glad you're here. You had a cardiac arrest. That is that's a tough one, and I'm sure that was very challenging for her. I'm glad that you and she made it through. Yeah. Karen, codependency. Yes. Karen, tell us a little bit more about that. And while you're doing that, let's just look at some of the other. Divorce was a complete lesson for me about codependency, and breaking that chain. I'm still learning.
I'm proud of your daughter too, Michelle.
I'm pretty happy for my daughter also.
Codependency.
Yeah, let's talk about codependency. Let's do that.
I didn't realize
Can
that
we
I have...
just bring this thing forward a little bit more so that we're
see.
not doing this?
I didn't realize that I had codependent tendencies until recently. What if we do it at like an angle?
No, let's just leave it and just...
But then we're both like smacking heads.
Well, we don't have to be. Let's just do this. Why? Okay, go ahead. Just start talking about codependency. Why don't you do that?
I didn't realize how common codependency is. And I didn't realize how subtle it could be also. And I'm definitely now learning to...
Please. Can you please put it back the way it was?
That's
Because
so
how
weird. That's half of our face. That's half of faces. Look. This is so strange.
Okay.
But I will say I do love my alone time now. There's nothing like it. I took a day off the other day and I just curled up in bed with myself. I didn't talk to anybody. I told my friend not to come over because I didn't feel like getting out of bed, and I was honest about it. But I give myself that. It's so necessary.
Yeah. So Karen, codependency versus interdependency in a healthy relationship. Absolutely. I think the best relationships with anyone is what happens when all parties are taking care of themselves. You know, it's really hard to show up in a healthy way in a relationship if you're not tending to yourself. And
that's why I don't believe in 50-50 relationships. I feel like when you have a 50-50 relationship, you kind of miss out on the other 100% that you guys could have if you did 100-100.
Yeah.
Because, 50%, that barely covers taking care of myself.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So I have a question for the group, actually, that I've been thinking about lately. And this was actually the question that was at the end of Viethan's interview with me. What would you today tell your 16-year-old self? So for you all who are on, if you could maybe type it in there, that'd be great, and we could read it and talk about it. So Jessica, what if you could go back in time? What would you tell your 16-year-old self about family?
I would have told my 16-year-old self that the titles didn't matter. The relationships mattered. So, like, once my parents divorced, I was so angry at both of them.
She was mad as hell,
I was
y'all.
so mad.
And when Jessica's mad, oh my gosh.
I don't get mad often, but when I am angry, it feels like you shake a soda bottle. So then I'm either like when you let the soda bottle open and I'm blowing up all over the place, but nobody knows that I was shaking because I'm quiet about that, or I'm the soda bottle that's shaking and it's closed, so I feel like this. And then I look like, kind of passive aggressive because I'm not talking because I know that the lid will blow off. So I really wish that I told my 16-year-old self that there needs to be a way for me to get that off of myself. Yeah. I should have, did a sport or an activity, or I should have actually listened to the therapist that I had for a little bit. I was so resistant to him. I was just like, he'll never understand what I'm going through. And I started there. So there was no room for improvement in that sense.
Wow,
so I
Jess, I love that you're saying that. Because that's
I'm just spilling all of my beans on this.
No, but it's really important to share that because there are so many people who do that, and sometimes they're doing it and they don't even recognize the fact that they're doing it. Like when you say no, I actually talked about that in the conversation that the interview that I did with Kelly Stokes Brown. And it's like, where do you start? And when your core answer is a no, everyone feels it,
My core answer was a no a lot. I just didn't want to be bothered. Then I got a job and I was babysitting. So I figured that would be good. Like if I'm working, then nobody could say anything to me. That was like my point of view. So it was just madness going on in my head, but I wasn't expressing anything. I was like,
I'm very proud of you, Jessica.
Thank you.
That's amazing.
That coldness was really heavy on me, and I wish that I shook it off and warmed up sooner.
Yeah. But you learned some things through that. Hey, Michelle Joy Schwartz, how are you? I don't have my glasses on. Weintraub. I don't want to miss out on any of your name. Vidhen says lots of self-awareness. That's half the battle.
And Karen, yes, no is a complete
No
sentence.
is
I
period.
always say yes, so if I say no, it's like, no, I don't. No. Why? Because I don't feel like it. No.
And you don't have to say no with anger. You know,
Not
I think
anger,
that
but
is,
here's my thing. I'm
I
the
wanna
type
hear
of
your
person
thing.
that always says yes. So
Hi, Andrea.
Hi, Andrea. I always say yes. So if I say no and then somebody's like, yeah, somebody asks me for something or asks me to do something, I always say yes.
okay.
That's not true.
You do a lot.
That's not true.
I just want to mess with you on camera. I don't know.
So you said that I'd be the one doing this.
I know.
You said so.
So here's what happens. Okay? I live both places, San Diego and also here in the Northeast, in New Jersey specifically. And what happens is...
Sorry, guys. I'm waiting on food delivery. So that's why I keep checking to see where they are. I'm starving.
What happens is I leave this afternoon. And on the day that I leave, we always have a little bit of tension. Just a little, little thing, a little funky thing. And it really is because we miss each other so much when we're not around each other. And
I'm blaming the Puerto Rican.
Yeah, so we're bringing we're bringing you into some of that little mini dysfunction here, where this morning we were glaring at each other. There was nothing going on.
Happening.
We were just cleaning up. We were just cleaning, just kind of organizing things a little bit. And
we were huffing.
We were huffing for nothing. And then finally we're like, there's really like nothing going on, right? I think it's just that we're
leaving each other.
We're leaving each other.
Just getting on a flight in like 2 hours.
I am. Michelle, so you said that it's hard for you to say no also. Sometimes it is difficult for people. Sometimes it is difficult for people to say no. And I think that sometimes when it's difficult for a person, it's because you haven't cleared it up inside of yourself. And I think that that's what could help to make your yeses and your nos a little easier to say. If you're saying no inside, have that conversation with yourself about why you're saying no. What are the reasons why you're saying no? And get that cleaned up inside. And then you can go and tell the person, share your yes or your no with the person. You have the right to give yourself a moment to think things through.
I don't. Sometimes I really don't give myself that.
Yeah.
I don't.
And for me, normally, when it's hard for me to say no, it's typically because me saying no to that other person is me saying yes to something inside of myself that I'm afraid to say yes to. So if someone is doing something that feels like it's crossing a boundary, or someone's asking me for something that I don't feel comfortable with, sometimes it's easier to say yes to that person and no to yourself. But over time, it really creates a crumbly relationship inside of you. So it's really important to practice saying no. Practice saying yes to yourself. And practice saying no to other people.
Eduardo said that he would tell his 16-year-old self, when your dad becomes a grandfather, he'll become a sweetheart. So it doesn't matter if he acts crazy.
I hear that. Yes. Time forgiveness. Absolutely. Karen says, I feel like... I can't... Hold on. I'm sorry.
She feels like no comes from intuition, and that's hard to be tuned into.
It can be hard to be tuned into. But again, when you don't want to say no, you know exactly why you don't want to say no. And so if you can get it straight, within yourself, it becomes a lot easier, because then you're not saying no with force. You're not saying no as a rejection to that other person. You're actually saying your no is because you've decided to say yes to yourself. And I've had a couple of times in my life, in different relationships with people, where I had to say no, and it was hard. It was really, really hard, because I'm like, this isn't feeling good. This really isn't feeling good, and how do I get past this? And it really is about speaking your own truth.
Well, what I didn't share is when my friend called me, she asked to come over, and I said, yeah, sure. And then I hung up the phone, and I sat there for like 15 seconds, and I called her back, and I said, no, I need the day to myself.
Yeah. That's a simple one. That's one that happens. Christine. Yes, Michelle, we're definitely in the Northeast, and stay tuned. We're going to, for 2020 is going to be a big year for shaping freedom.
Michelle, where are you from?
really looking forward to having some things happening here on the East Coast as well. Christina, I tell my 16 that I'm still loved. Family dynamics may change, and change is okay.
I would tell my 16-year-old self the
that you're
same
still
exact
loved.
thing.
Yes, yeah.
Same exact thing.
That's great advice. What, you're going too fast, Jess? I often feel guilty when I say no. Yeah, but the feeling of guilt to yourself, worst. You got to say yes to yourself. If you say yes to yourself, what comes out is going to be so much easier. It's okay to say no. That's being an adult. That's true. That's true. I completely understand and practice that. Randy Nelson, hello. How are you? Hey. Tamina, I can say no. I can say no to others, but my mom, it drives my husband crazy. Probably 1,000 couples are going through that, where there is a person in the relationship who struggles with saying no. I think, again, Tamina, it really is about saying yes to yourself and setting up boundaries. And sometimes boundaries are seen as this kind of, hey, Michelle, you're from New York City. I didn't realize that, Michelle. That's great. We see boundaries as something that we're doing to force up against another person, when in fact it really can be a loving and gentle yes to yourself. Like, this isn't feeling good to me. And I have a suggestion. There's a book by this guy, Richard Ury, I think is his name. And what he talks about is the way to say a positive no. And the practice that he shares is you start it with something positive. So it's like, Jessica, I really love that you made me a cup of coffee yesterday. However, I'm really trying to watch my sugar. I'm making this up. So could you please put less sugar in my coffee? Because that way I want to make sure that I actually drink the coffee that you make for me. So it's like that, right? So it's like you're something positive.
You're acknowledging
effort, what the person is wanting, and then you're sharing with the person what you really need, and you're coming up with something that works for both. So it's different from saying, I don't want this crappy cup of coffee. Don't make me this crappy cup of coffee. It's too sweet. It sounds very different than acknowledging what the person tried to do. And so sometimes saying no to parents can be really challenging. I know my parents have both passed away, and I had some challenges saying no to my dad. My dad was this Haitian father who you never said no to, and he was very strict in a lot of ways. And so it wasn't always easy to say no to him. And it really took a long time for me to learn how to have that conversation in a way that balanced respect for him, while also not disrespecting myself in the conversation, with him. And so I think parents give us this wonderful opportunity to learn how to speak your own truth, and to be honest to yourself and also to that person that you really love. But you have to do it. The answer to anything is to actually practice it and do it and try different things. Avoidance is never going to solve it. Never. This one, you like to say no to me, don't you?
I was just gonna actually say, but I retracted it. You were saying that you used to have problems saying no to your father. I was going to say, well, I felt that way to you.
I know you did. Do you feel that way now?
Not at all. Now, not so much.
You give them the therapy. You give them the stuff. You help them with the personal development, and then they use it on you.
I was thinking about when you were trying to get me to go to San Diego, and it was a really bad time, but I felt bad because I hadn't seen you in San Diego in a while, and I know you wanted to see Emma and I, but I was so conflicted because just the timing was horrible. No, maybe it was when you went to France. It was France, and you wanted me to go.
I did want you to go, yeah.
And it was hard for me to say no, but and you kept asking too. I kept saying no, and you kept asking, and I was just like, no, I can't. Like, I can't. But I stuck to it, and I think that if I went, I would have been distracted the whole time, and it wouldn't have been good for me.
Yeah. Do I give? Let's see, Michelle. I'm here. Please let me know how I can help. Services. Yes, Michelle, absolutely. When we get something going for New York, we absolutely will let you know.
Thank you, Michelle.
Viet Hen, you're 16-year-old Viet Hen. You're not missing out on anything. You're weird is brilliant. Keep doing you.
Ooh,
Yay!
Shout out to all the weirdos.
I love that. All the weirdos. Let's all
weirdos.
get together.
Oh, wait, we didn't read Karen's up here. Her 16-year-old self, she would tell her to remember that she is enough.
More
Agreed.
than enough. More
and tell
than
your
enough.
current self that too.
Absolutely. Randy.
Not you, just...
Parents are hard to say no to. My mother gives me a guilt trip. Moms can do that sometimes. We really can. It's like you know, we have to really work at not doing that. I see your face, Jessica. I don't like it. I see your face and I don't like it. I wanted to get back to that no thing. What's been great though is because I am of
Hey Sade.
Hey Sade. Because
Hey,
I am of Caribbean parents, that whole allowing my child, both of them, to speak their own truth to me was not the easiest thing. It was a new skill set that I needed to learn. And at first I was like...
She used to do this all the time. We had to have a conversation about this before because I'm saying...
Okay,
she does this.
What does that mean?
Exactly.
Do I do that?
Not anymore.
Oh, okay.
So like you'd ask something and I'd give an answer and you didn't leave room for no because if somebody said no, you'd be like... And you're like, okay,
yes.
fine. Okay.
I guess it's not, no. Yeah, so that wasn't a guilt trip. That was I don't like your answer.
My mom just asked to stay with me for 3 months, and my response was, how do I say no to my mother? Well, I'm coming too.
We're all coming.
I'm coming too. Randy, my mother is Jamaican, very different. So is my father. I get it, Randy.
Yeah, her dad is Jamaican, and I'm half Haitian and half Puerto Rican. So
I feel you, Randy.
She and her brother Joseph, so sorry for you.
Still, the kids are kids, no matter the age.
Yes, that's a Caribbean thing. I don't know if it's just Caribbean. Do other families do the same thing? People from other places?
All of my friends are Caribbean, so I'm not sure.
They're all in the same boat.
Yeah.
What I found though is that the thing that made me uncomfortable was real. It was bullshit. Because if you are in a relationship with a person who cannot speak their truth to you, what that means is that you're living a lie. And so you can sit there and have the image of peace and quiet and peace and quiet and that everything is going okay for the pictures, for the pictures and the beautiful dining room table. But if everyone's heart isn't clean and pure and their real thoughts aren't on the table, you're literally sitting in a big ball of bullshit lie.
On surface.
Seriously.
People that you're supposed to have real relationships, people who you're supposed to have real relationships with, they end up having just a surface relationship with you. Like, hey, how you doing? And you always have to say good.
Yes.
And that doesn't feel right.
So you're literally doing the same thing that people so often do outside in the street. Like, how you doing? Fine. Your life's falling apart. You're not fine. You're doing the same thing at home. And so in the beginning, I had to learn a new skill and I had to really be open to hearing things. And I had to remember that they're my children and they love me and I love them. And there's nothing that's going to happen to change that. And so I could really hear their truth. And in the beginning, when you first make this decision to kind of open up to that, it can be hard. It can be challenging. There are some blow-ups that happen. You start hearing some stuff that you really don't want to hear. But the truth is that once you get past that to the other side of it, it's beautiful.
So much easier.
It's so much easier because I can say to Jess, you know what? I don't feel like flying. I'm tired. I don't want to fly. Or, no, I don't want that to happen that way, or whatever the thing is.
And it's a conversation.
And then
there's no misunderstanding either.
Yes. And
so
there's respect.
Always clean. There's respect. And it's usually like some type of learning lesson. Like if you say you don't feel like it, for me, it's a learning lesson that really is okay.
Yeah. And there's really...
I like what Karen said. So basically she said that both of her parents are really strong-willed, so there's an inner conflict in her. And, she learned where their opinions end and where hers begin, and she really needed to set boundaries.
Yeah, I love that. Michelle said, I'm just learning how to parent my adult children. It is very different. Michelle, it is such a different thing. And I'm so happy to hear that you recognize the fact that it's a different thing. You cannot attempt to interact with your children at 25, 26, 30, and 35. That's Emma. She's on her way down.
Here comes a 2-year-old.
Here comes a 2-year-old. And it's good because we're almost out of time anyway, so it'll be good. But we're going to leave on a 2-year-old note. What happens is people attempt to parent their children who are now adults in the same way that they did when they were 7 years old. And you just can't do that. They're different people. And quite frankly, you're a different person. So
I'm cracking up.
Emma's here, but there's a surprise guest that we're not going to call because that has to come up in a different thing. We have a surprise guest here who's been watching Emma. But I'm not going to, we're not going to announce who that is
All
right
of the
now.
Caribbeans are saying it's definitely a part of their culture,
Their experience.
parenting, yeah.
Vian, I hear the same from my other Latino friends. Yeah. Claudie, how are you? Hey, fam. Yeah. So.
Oh my goodness, Emma, keep the hat on. I like it. Put it back on. I like it a lot.
So Emma was upstairs for as long as she could be with the surprise mystery guest. And we have to make that announcement under Facebook in a different way. And you'll understand why if you're my personal friend. And here, this is your great uncle, Jean-Michel's doll. There you go. Yeah, so I guess the big things that we got out of this, couple of things, just to kind of wrap this up. One is the importance of being clear about your yes and your no.
That is a part of your self-care.
That's part of your self-care. And also understanding that don't say yes to someone else when what you're really doing is saying no to your own spirit. So that's the one thing I got out of this. The second thing is
speak your truth before it gets too heavy.
And speak your truth to everybody, because how you do, the way that you interact with yourself is the way that you're interacting with other people. So make sure that you're speaking your truth to everybody. And even when it's difficult, even when that person is your parent. And so you're not, and also one thing that I think is really important is to understand that you're not going to change that person. That person has to make the decision to shift or modify or change things for themselves. So don't go into that trying to change them. What you can do is speak your own truth more frequently. And speak your own truth more frequently. And in that way, that person will shift the way that they interact with you, because you speak your truth no matter what. I have to handle me and you handle you.
Oh, with not you, but with everybody. I give 0 now. I speak my truth and I leave it there.
What does that mean?
And that's it. You speak your truth and you leave it right there. Take it how you want. I said what I said. I was very clear. I'm
scared. I'm actually a little afraid.
No, it's not that. Some people don't I share my experience. I said what I had to say, and I'm not taking responsibility for how other people take it.
Oh, so you're saying you're not getting into explaining it and all of that. Okay. I just didn't know what poop meant. I didn't know.
Me either. I just made it up. Boop.
Yes. What else did we talk about to wrap this up? Divorce. Divorce is a very difficult thing, even under the best of circumstances, even with the most personally evolved human beings. It is still a difficult situation for any family to go through. So make sure that if you are involved in a divorce, that you allow room and space for everyone to experience it, to feel what they need to feel, to express what they need to express, and simply speak your truth. And I think that that's the easiest thing. Sometimes it's like telling your family, listen, this is what I need from you at this time. And I had to have that conversation a couple of times, this is what's going on. This is my situation, and this is what I need right now. And I understand that it may be difficult for you. Maybe I cannot hear. It's possible that I just can't hear that right now because of what I'm going through. So you really want to make sure you take care of yourself, and also make sure that you're really paying attention to your children. I come from a generation where all kinds of things happened. Emma, all kinds of things happen, and you just kind of keep it moving. Things have changed a little bit, thankfully.
Yeah, I ask Emma every day how she feels.
You just want to make sure that you're paying attention to what's going on for your children and for the other people that are impacted by this very significant life thing. And then on motherhood and parenting, parenting in general, it's really, these are not your people. These are people who are here, who are, sisters and brothers in humanity. And I think sometimes when we understand that, I'm responsible for mine and she's responsible for hers. I'm not going to tell her that because I always wanted a bungee jump. I don't. But if, because I always wanted a bungee jump, it's now your responsibility to go and bungee jump. Not fair.
Or it's people dealing with situations the way that you would deal with it.
Yes.
Simple things like that.
Yeah. And so especially when you're dealing with, if you deal with your own stuff, then you clear up the space between you and that person so that we can actually have a real, honest, and authentic relationship versus having a relationship through the filter of all the crap that I haven't bothered to clean up out of myself and whatever she's not bothered to clean up out of herself.
Emma's behind the camera. I'm sorry,
Emma's doing all
up.
kinds of things back there. Our relationships are a place for us to clean things up between us, so that we can step more fully and more authentically into our life relationships and what we're doing. Okay, this was a long one. This is like almost an hour. And thank you so much, Jessica.
One more thing, check on your friends.
Don't
let your friends just say I'm good all the time. Check on your friends. That's it.
Is that all? Okay. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That's how, love is an action. Show them that you care. Emma's back there like, okay. So, Karen's deal with my stuff. Yep, I'm in it and giving myself grace to do that. So happy. Ashley Howard is on just as we're getting ready to go off. Ashley Howard, who recently had a beautiful baby. Congratulations. I miss you.
My goddaughter, Miss Nori.
Yes. Yes, and I haven't, Ashley, I was here for a few days and I know I didn't see you and I shall see you soon. I've been going, girl.
Michelle, hope to speak with you soon.
Absolutely, Michelle. Absolutely. Okay, so thank you so much for joining. If you have any other questions or if you just want to, let's just keep this conversation going. I think that the relationships that we have with the people in our families and with the people that are around us. Congratulations, Ashley, from Michelle Yvette. We're sorry you missed it too, but what's great about Facebook Live is you can just watch it afterwards and you can put your comments in afterwards and we can keep the conversation going, which I'd really love to. I think the topic of parenting, motherhood, mother-daughter relationships, father-son relationships, us as adults dealing with our parents, adult people dealing with parents, adult children who have gone through divorce. These are really meaty conversations that I'm really happy that we're able to have. And so I'd love for us to talk about that as much as possible. Thank you guys so much. Have a phenomenal weekend. And I want to know what you would say to your 16-year-old today. I want to keep that conversation going. This weekend am going to, I'm doing an improv class. It's a writing improv class. So that is what I'm going to be doing when I get back to San Diego over this weekend. I'm really excited, super excited about that. What are you doing this weekend?
I'm relaxing tonight. Tomorrow I have an event in Union, New Jersey. I'm vending. And on Sunday I'll be in my pop-up shop. So busy weekend.
Which event will you be at?
It is called When Friends Link Up. It's on Chestnut Street. If you go on my Instagram, all of the information is in the bio, and you can buy your tickets there as well.
Your Instagram, For the Love of All. I don't know if you guys...
At the number 4, theloveofall.com.
Yeah.
No, whoa. At the number 4, theloveofall_. The website is fortheloveofall.com. I just mixed them all up.
I forgot to mention that Jessica is recently founded a company called For the Love of All. The 4 stands for my mother, her grandmother, me, Jessica, and Emma. So it speaks to the women in our family, For the Love of All. And it's this beautiful skincare line, all natural, organic, made with a ton-ass of love. And it's really all about family and sharing. And it's like great product to rub on the skin and body of your children, rub on your man's beard if he has one. I know you're doing some things for No Shave Month.
Or if you need to get him one. Thank you, Vietnam.
Yeah, so Vietnam put it up there. Thank you so much. Or if you want your man to get a beard going. So anyway, so it's really all about family, community, intimacy, getting together, and love. And
health.
And health. And I love that she's made the decision to do that. Yeah, so have a phenomenal weekend. If you're up to something fun that you want to let us know about, please put it in the comments. We'd love to know what's going on, what you all are doing. Love this conversation. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful weekend, guys.
Bye-bye.
See you next Friday at 2. No, see you next Friday at 2 Eastern time zone. See you next Friday at 2 Eastern, 11 Pacific. Love you. Peace, guys.
Bye.
Bye.